Good evening wherever you are right now. I want you to listen closely because this isn't just a speech. It's a wake-up call. Let me say it again, slowly. The grind never lies, but most people quit before it tells the truth. What does that mean? It means your effort, your discipline, your sacrifice, they are all receipts, proof, evidence, and eventually they will speak. But most people, they throw in the towel long before that testimony comes. They walk away from the gym before the muscles show. They walk away from the business before the profits grow. They walk away from the dream before the doors swing open. But the grind always tells the truth. See, the grind is like a mirror. It doesn't reflect what you wish was true. It reflects what actually is. If you've been lazy, it shows. If you've been inconsistent, it shows. If you've been lying to yourself, it shows. But if you've been faithful, if you've been relentless, if you've shown up even when you didn't feel like it, oh, it shows that too. But here's the problem: most people don't stick around long enough for the reflection to change. They get discouraged. They start comparing themselves. They scroll through social media and see someone else living the life they want. And instead of using that as fuel, they let it become poison. They let doubt creep in like a thief in the night. Let me tell you something. Your dream is not denied. It's just delayed. But if you quit now, you'll never know how close you really were. There's an old saying, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. And it's true. Most people quit in the dark. They give up when the storm hits. But the storm is not there to stop you. It's there to shape you. Because pressure builds power. Resistance builds resilience. No pressure, no diamonds. You think it's supposed to be easy. You think purpose comes without pain. You think legacy comes without sacrifice. Listen, champions aren't made when the lights are bright. They're made in silence. Early mornings, late nights, empty rooms, sweat, blood, tears, and zero applause. You grind when nobody's watching, and that's exactly what makes the payoff so powerful. But you gotta stay in the fight long enough to see it. Let me ask you this. How bad do you want it? Because the grind will test you. It'll ask you, are you serious or are you just interested? Everybody wants success until they see what it costs. Everybody wants to shine until they see the hours in the dark. Everybody wants the crown, but few are willing to carry the cross. The grind, it separates the talkers from the walkers, the dreamers from the doers, the tourists from the tenants. See, a lot of people visit greatness, but they don't stay. They take pictures with success, post it online, hashtag it, but they don't live there. They don't pay the rent, and let me tell you, the rent is due every single day. And guess what? You can't fake this. You can't cheat the grind. It knows who's putting in the work. It knows who's cutting corners. It knows who's all in and who's just looking for a shortcut. You want the truth. The grind will reward you, it will promote you, it will elevate you, but not on your schedule, on its own time, and only if you've proven you're ready. Some of you are frustrated right now because you've been grinding and you haven't seen the results. But the results are on the way. They don't always show up in money. Sometimes they show up in mindset, in maturity, in mental toughness. The grind changes you first before it changes your life. And that's what most people don't get. They want external validation before they've done internal transformation. But let me tell you, the truth doesn't arrive in likes, views, or claps. The truth is in your consistency. The truth is in your discipline. The truth is in your grit. So I'm asking you today, can you hang on? Can you outlast the lies? Can you keep pushing even when your emotions scream stop? Can you keep walking with no applause, no confirmation, no guarantee, just faith? Because that's what winners do. They trust the process. They embrace the pain. They welcome the grind. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the next step. You don't need to know when it's going to happen. You just need to believe that if you don't stop, it will. Because the grind never lies, and one day it will speak loud and clear. You earned this, not because of talent, not because of luck, but because you didn't quit, because when others walked away, you walked forward. Because when others folded, you fought. Because when others doubted you, you believed. So from this day forward, make a decision: no more quitting, no more almost, and no more excuses. Either you're all in or you're out. Because the grind is watching, and the truth is coming. The only question is, will you still be standing when it arrives? The grind never lies, it only reveals what you've truly earned. Every rep in the gym, every late night behind the laptop, every early morning when the world is still asleep and you're already moving, that's the grind. And it never lies. It doesn't care about your excuses, your feelings, your fears. It doesn't care about your background, your connections, or what you think you deserve. The grind is blind to all of that. It only sees what you do. It only responds to your action, and that action, that's what tells the truth. You can post your goals, talk about your ambition, speak your dreams into the air, but if you're not backing it with effort, real effort, the grind will expose you. You can't trick it, you can't talk your way around it. You either put in the work or you don't, and the results will show. That's what makes the grind so pure, so honest, so real. It's not interested in hype. It doesn't fall for smoke and mirrors. You can't charm your way to the top. You can't network your way past the process. Sooner or later, the grind separates the contenders from the pretenders. It filters out the committed from the curious. Because the truth will always rise to the top, and the grind is the fire that burns away everything fake. You want something real, then go earn it. The grind doesn't reward potential, it rewards performance. Not what you could do, but what you actually did. Not what you planned to do, but what you showed up for. That's the measuring stick. You see, the grind is a scoreboard that never shuts off. It's always keeping track. Every choice you make, whether to go the extra mile or cut corners, to push through or pack it in, it's all recorded. Every skipped rep, every missed opportunity, every "I'll do it tomorrow," builds a gap between what you say and what you actually achieve. But every disciplined moment, every time you press forward when it's hard, every time you resist the urge to quit, that builds a bridge to everything you want. People want results without resistance. But the grind is the resistance. It's the weight you lift. It's the discomfort you sit in. It's the delay you endure. And it's in that resistance that your strength is revealed, not built instantly, revealed gradually. Because what you're really doing every time you show up and do the work is casting a vote for the person you want to become. The grind doesn't lie because it doesn't deal in illusions. It gives you a direct reflection of your habits, your decisions, your persistence. And yet most people spend more time trying to make it look like they're grinding than actually grinding. But the grind doesn't reward image, it rewards impact. It doesn't care about looking busy, it demands results. That's why it's honest. That's why it's reliable. That's why it can be brutal, but it's also fair. Because the truth is, the grind doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you've worked for. And over time, that work adds up, quietly, invisibly, until one day the truth of your effort becomes too loud to ignore. And in that moment, no one will have to guess how you got there. The grind will have already told the story word for word, rep by rep, day by day. That's why the grind never lies, because it has no reason to. It simply gives back what you've put in, nothing more, nothing less. Most people quit right before their breakthrough. They stop digging when they're inches from the gold. They let go when the finish line is just around the corner, not because they don't want it, but because they've convinced themselves it's never going to happen. That's the danger of fatigue. That's the cost of doubt. You can be on the edge of everything you've worked for and not even know it. And the truth is, the closer you get to the breakthrough, the harder it feels. The weight gets heavier, the silence gets louder, the setbacks hit harder, but that's not a sign to quit, that's confirmation that you're getting close. Breakthrough doesn't announce itself ahead of time. It doesn't knock politely and wait for you to be ready. It shows up in the middle of the mess, when you're exhausted, when you're questioning everything, when you're about to make the call to walk away. That's usually when you're right at the edge. The problem is, most people never realize it. They confuse pressure for failure. They confuse resistance for rejection. They think the pain means it's not working, when in reality, it's the final test. You've got to understand something about struggle. It intensifies right before transformation. Think about a seed breaking through the soil. The moment it bursts open, it faces the most resistance. The dirt is pressing down on it. The darkness is surrounding it, and there's no sign of light. But it keeps pushing, keeps stretching, keeps growing, because breakthrough only comes to what refuses to stay buried. It doesn't matter how long you've been grinding. It doesn't matter how slow it's going. If you don't stop, you're still in the game. But the moment you quit, everything stops. Momentum dies. The progress you made disappears. The foundation you built starts to crack. And worse, you train your mind to run when it should rise. You send a signal to yourself that it's okay to give up when things get uncomfortable. And once you do that, it gets easier to do it again. Before you know it, quitting becomes a habit, and every time you're about to level up, you retreat instead. Most people don't fail because they didn't have enough talent or resources or time. They fail because they didn't stay in the fight long enough to see the result. They talked themselves out of the win. They let temporary emotion make a permanent decision. They believed the lie that it's too late, too hard, too far, when really, they were just one step away from everything changing. You have to develop a mindset that says, I'm not turning around until I see what I came for. You've got to get stubborn about your purpose. You've got to get so committed that even when the results aren't visible, the decision is already made. Because breakthrough doesn't come to the most talented, it comes to the most consistent. It comes to those who can take another step when their legs are shaking. It comes to those who can keep believing when the evidence says quit. It comes to those who understand that what looks like the end is often just the beginning in disguise. There's no countdown clock for success. No alert that pops up when your time is near. You just keep showing up, keep working, keep believing, and suddenly everything shifts. But that shift only happens if you're still there to see it, and that's where most people miss it. They're not defeated by failure. They're defeated by timing. They give up one day too soon, one action too short, one yes away from the life they've been chasing. Most people quit right before their breakthrough. Success doesn't show up when you're ready, it shows up when you're worthy. Everyone says they're ready, ready to win, ready to shine, ready for the spotlight, the recognition, the big moment. But being ready is not the same as being worthy. Readiness is a mindset. Worthiness is a condition that has to be earned through effort, sacrifice, and consistency. You don't become worthy of success by simply wanting it. You become worthy by enduring everything required to hold it when it finally arrives. That's the part most people miss. They confuse desire with preparation. They think passion is enough to unlock the door, but success only opens up to those who have built the key. The process makes you worthy. The struggle, the setbacks, the seasons of silence, they don't come to destroy you. They come to shape you. They sharpen your character, stretch your capacity, and strip away what doesn't belong. They make sure that when success does come, it doesn't crush you. Because success is heavy, it demands responsibility, it demands clarity, it demands strength. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your training, and only the people who have been forged by fire are strong enough to carry the weight of the reward. You can't skip the process and expect to keep the prize. If you're handed something before you're worthy, it becomes a curse instead of a blessing. It slips through your fingers because you didn't build the hands strong enough to hold it. That's why the waiting season exists. That's why the grind feels endless. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared. because something bigger than your current self is being built, and that takes time. Success doesn't care about timelines. It doesn't operate on your schedule. It's not concerned with how long you've been trying or how badly you want it. It only responds to proof of effort, proof of growth. Proof of persistence. You can't just want the dream, you have to match the weight of the dream with the strength of your commitment. And that means showing up again and again, without applause, without validation, without certainty. That's how worthiness is built. A lot of people are waiting for the right moment, waiting for things to feel perfect, for someone to give them a green light. But success doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It watches how you show up when you're not. It watches how you respond when things don't go your way. It watches how you act when no one is looking. That's what determines whether you're truly worthy, not your confidence, not your charm, but your consistency when no one's clapping for you yet. Worthy means tested. It means proven. It means you didn't quit when things got hard. It means you made decisions based on discipline, not emotion. It means you grew into the kind of person who doesn't just chase greatness, but sustains it when it finally knocks on the door. The reward doesn't come to those who are just excited about the idea. It comes to those who are equipped to handle the reality. So when people say they're ready for success, what they really need to ask is, am I worthy of it? Have I done the work? Have I shown up when it was inconvenient? Have I been faithful in the small things? Because until you can answer yes to those questions, the dream will stay just out of reach, not because it's impossible, but because it's waiting on you to become the version of yourself that can carry it without breaking. You can't fake the grind. It exposes effort and excuses alike. The grind doesn't listen to your words. It studies your patterns. It tracks how you spend your time, how you respond to discomfort, and how often you show up when no one else does. You can dress up the journey, talk a big game, post motivational quotes, and hype yourself up in public. But when it's just you and the work, there's no room for pretending. The grind pulls the truth out of you. It peels back the image and reveals the investment. It knows if you're all in or if you're just visiting commitment for the moment. This is why people who fake it don't last. They show up loud, but fade when pressure shows up. Because pressure has a way of drawing the real you out. That's the purpose of the grind. It's not just to build results. It's to strip away illusions. It doesn't care about how bad you want it. It only responds to how hard you work for it. And when you try to cut corners, when you pretend you've been in the trenches but haven't been consistent, it shows, it always shows. The grind exposes both the worker and the warrior. One keeps building. The other keeps bluffing. Effort leaves a mark. It can't be hidden. If you've been putting in the work, there will be signs. Maybe not instantly in results, but in your mindset, your attitude, your pace, your discipline. The grind changes you long before it rewards you. It builds your patience before it delivers your prize. And if your effort is shallow, the grind won't let you hide behind smooth talk or artificial energy. The excuses will rise to the surface, loud and obvious. People often try to rush the grind. They want shortcuts, secret formulas, quick hacks, but the grind can't be hacked. There are no cheat codes to mastery, no fast tracks to greatness. Every shortcut you take delays the growth you actually need, because the grind is not about checking boxes, it's about transformation, and transformation doesn't happen at surface level. It happens when you dig deep, when you go further than your feelings, when you keep moving even after motivation has left the room. When you're real with the grind is real with you. It doesn't always give you what you want, but it gives you what you deserve. If you're disciplined, it delivers. If you're focused, it compounds. But if you're playing around, halfway committed, only working hard when people are watching, the grind will expose that too. And when the time comes to show what you've built, it will be clear who is serious and who is just showing off. That's why this journey isn't about talking louder. It's about working deeper. The grind rewards character. It rewards endurance. It rewards honesty with yourself. If you're tired but you still show up, that counts. If you failed but you didn't quit, that counts. If you're not the most talented, but you outwork everyone else in the room, that counts. But if you're showing up only when it feels good, only when the mood is right, the grind sees that too. It can't be fooled by enthusiasm without execution. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be real. Real with your effort, real with your growth, real with your responsibility. That's the contract of the grind. You bring your truth, and it brings your transformation. But if you try to fake your way through it, you'll end up exhausted, frustrated, and empty-handed, because the grind won't respond to your image. It only responds to your integrity.